Top story on ABC News Breakfast this morning. The Labor Party has voted to overturn its long-standing policy to ban the sale of uranium to India. 206
delegates voted in favour of Prime Minister Julia Gillard's view. 185 opposed it. Defence Minister Stephen Smith is one of the members who supported the move, and he joins us now from Canberra. Stephen Smith, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, Virginia. Good morning.
You have no qualms about potential consequences of the idea, or at least the policy, of exporting uranium to India? None whatsoever?
Absolutely not. I think this is a deeply significant decision. This will advance Australia's interests. What changed the nature of this discussion was that when India entered into the India-United States Civil Nuclear Agreement in 2008-2009, that agreement was approved by the International Atomic Energy Agency. It was approved by the Nuclear Suppliers Group. That effectively put India under the international nuclear regulators for the first occasion, and India gave a series of undertakings, including a moratorium on future nuclear testing, signing up the International Atomic Energy Agency's additional protocol, splitting its civilian nuclear technology from military. That effectively gives you the same protections that you'd get if a country signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which of course has been the stumbling block for many years so far as India is concerned.
So signing that treaty then doesn't matter that much anymore? That's what this gesture signifies?
Well, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty opened for signature in 1967. India has made it clear since then that it won't sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And the international community has come to accept that, and that was why in 2008-2009 the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the international civil nuclear regulator, and the Nuclear Suppliers Group, those countries who supply uranium and other nuclear technology, agreed that it was best to place India under the governance of the international civil nuclear regulators. That's what has changed arrangements here. And so far as Australia exporting uranium to India is concerned, when we made our decision, our threshold decision in 1984, that we would export uranium, we also required that the country of destination had to enter into a separate bilateral safeguards agreement with Australia, and that will be the case with India as well.
Sure, and I accept that explanation, but do you not accept that by making this decision without that country being a signatory to the treaty, that you actually downgrade the status now of that treaty? Or is that what you're suggesting this morning, that that treaty is actually somewhat defunct?
No, absolutely not. I'm a strong supporter of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Well, you can't have it both ways, Stephen Smith. You can't say you're a strong supporter and then decide to export uranium to a country that is not a signatory of it. It's one or the other.
Well, it's not, because what would you prefer? Would you prefer that India stayed outside any international regulation so far as civil nuclear arrangements were concerned? Would you prefer that India did not open itself up to International Atomic Energy Agency inspectorate? Would you prefer that India did not open itself up so far as its civil nuclear industry was concerned to the inspectors, so that the same inspection that occurs from the IAEA with other countries could occur in India? This whole game changed in 2008-2009, when India agreed to place itself under the International Atomic Energy Agency and under the Nuclear Suppliers Group. And what has occurred as a result of that is that for the first time we have India under that regulation, and that is the essential, seminal, fundamental point which those people who don't agree with or accept this decision either refuse to accept, refuse to acknowledge, or don't understand. India has made it clear since 1967 it won't sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The international community has come to accept that, and this has been the best way of making sure that India, as it emerges as a superpower, as it takes its rightful place as the world's largest democracy and one of the three countries who will be superpowers in this century, the United States, China and India, has taken its rightful place and has voluntarily agreed to go under the governance of the International Atomic Energy Agency. That's a good thing. That's progress. That's improvement.
All right, but those people who you say almost willfully refuse to acknowledge that, they are within your own party, and many of them are extremely angry at this decision. Do you expect that this move will actually be seriously divisive for the Labor Party?
No, I don't, because uranium has been a contentious issue for the Labor Party since the early 1970s. When Gough Whitlam was in office, our policy was actually the full exploitation of uranium. In the 1970s and early 1980s we had a moratorium, but the back of our policy was formed, the backbone of our policy was formed in 1984 when we agreed that we would export uranium from 3 named mines, including Roxby Downs or Olympic Dam. That mine, everyone knew then, as we know now, would grow to be one of the largest, if not the largest, uranium mines in the world. And as a consequence, we put those safeguard arrangements that I have referred to. But there are some people in the party now who made it clear yesterday that they didn't support the decision in 1984, and that was essentially their starting point. But we've been through this before. I frankly thought yesterday that the debate was respectful and dignified. Yes, there was a bit of the usual conference repartee. We come to expect that at a Labor Party conference. But we have managed this decision well over a 20, 30, 40-year period in terms of the different views within our party. What we'll now do, having made a fundamentally important strategic decision for Australia's future and our region's future, is to now sit down with India and work through a bilateral safeguards agreement.
I just want to quickly switch gears, if I can, before we let you go this morning, Stephen Smith. And we have news this morning that Iran is saying that it shot down a US spy plane, a drone, that it said made an incursion into its border. We know the situation in that country is still extremely tetchy, and we have the problems going on in Syria at the same time. What are your concerns about the way that Iran might be behaving in relation to the US and also US incursions into Iranian airspace?
Yeah, well, on that particular report, I'm not in a position to add to what we've seen in the media. These suggestions have been made by Iran before, as you would know, and found not to be based on fact. So we'll need to await the exhaustive analysis of that particular point. But generally, we are very concerned that Iran continues to refuse to abide by the United Nations Security Council resolution so far as its nuclear program is concerned, and continue to be very concerned that it is marching towards a nuclear weapons future. We have endorsed and implemented all of the United Nations Security Council sanctions as a result of that, plus implemented some of our own so far as unilateral sanctions are concerned. Yes, we continue to be very concerned about Iran and its activities.
Good to talk to you this morning, Stephen Smith. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Virginia. Thanks very much.